more and newer ways are created to make the roads safer. And unfortunately, because it's still not ending, there are even more new ways people are thinking up to prevent speeding and distracted driving. There's really no point to speeding. There are several videos out there, one that I actually attached to the playlist I'm putting this video in, where someone has shown by math and science that there's no point in speeding. Going 20 miles an hour in a perfect area, no lights, no stop signs, no traffic, no pedestrians, just straight right down the road going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, only saves you about 4 to 5 minutes. But that perfect road doesn't exist. Every time you hit a light, a stop sign, that's over a minute of that saved time you thought you had, you lost. All speeding does is increase the risk to you, to those around you, to those you're driving past, and also increases the wear and tear on your vehicles. They've made new traffic cameras. I actually saw one in Sherwood recently for catching speeders. And a few of the people I've talked to have met the officer who reviews all these videos, and these cameras go off to not just speed but also distractions in driving. One of my friends had told me she was merely scratching her head and the camera went off, and when she thought about it, she wonders if the camera had registered her hand motion as her holding a phone up to her head. Seeing as how she hasn't gotten a ticket, she thinks the cop noticed that she was scratching her head. There's even new speed signs that show how fast you're going that I've noticed in Aurora and Donald, where they're constantly changed in what they display. If you're speeding, it says to slow down, plain and simple. But if you're going the speed limit or a little under, they've actually designed it to register a sign of good job, a smiley emoji, a winky emoji, and I thought that was rather neat. Unfortunately, it also leads to your attention being pulled from the road, so it's a bit of a gray area to me as to whether or not that's a form of distracted driving or not. But it also gives a good reason to go the speed limit. It makes people feel good inside, me included. My sister actually told me of another speeding sensor in the Portland area that's being beta tested, in short, where it'll detect a speeder and the next light will stay red. That was actually pretty neat to hear, but after a few days of thinking about it, that one might not go over well with the public in the long run, because that's a form of mass punishment. Just because one guy decided to speed up to that light, now everyone has to wait longer at that red light. A really simple method to prevent speeding is stop making cars that go over 100 miles an hour. In Oregon, there's no area that goes over 65. Which, to help with that, it could become mandatory to help control speeders, that eventually every car be mandatorily given a governor, which will limit the speed, quite literally. Those who have driven company vehicles will know that even if you hold the gas pedal all the way down, the car or truck will never go above 65. And that's because of that governor. Yes, it won't stop people from going 60 in a 30, but it'll at least stop people from going 80, 90, 120 miles an hour down the highways. Another thought I personally had was, instead of adding all these new flashing lights and hanging signs and sign stands to designate people to stop or slow down, maybe an intersection where steel pylons come up out of the ground during a red light. People speeding down the road and trying to blow through a red light definitely won't be very happy by meeting a steel rod coming out of the ground. Heavy damage to the car. A good amount of pain, I'd imagine. But at least with that method, 90% of the time a pedestrian will be protected from that speeder. Other drivers will be protected from that person trying to run through the red light. And it'll also, on the positive side, prevent that person from just driving off. All these things I've brought up in regards to preventing speeding, they're all great. There's some easy ones. But car manufacturers have actually designed an easy way to not accidentally be going 70 in a 60. Oh, I didn't know my foot was on the gas pedal. Just set the cruise control and have your foot hover the brake pedal. That way you are going the designated speed constantly, unless something major is wrong with your car, and your foot is at the ready to slow the vehicle down for something. Moving on to distracted driving, as I mentioned earlier about the new camera that I saw in Sherwood, it'll detect if you're using your phone, if you're not paying full attention to the road, and a police officer will be checking that video footage. Recently, I've actually seen videos on internal car cameras that are monitoring the driver. They're still in the testing phase, but they are being built, where it will monitor the driver's actions, their eyes, if they're constantly moving around, being distracted, signs of drunkenness or just intoxication of any variety, eating, drinking, doing makeup. The reason these are still only in the testing phase is because a person can't just stare at the road constantly. They have to blink. You have to look to your left and right, so the camera's going to register that as a flag. And sometimes there's just the simple fact that not everyone looks alike, has the same reactions as everyone else. I mentioned earlier some types of distractions, so apologies if I do it again, but there's children. I was actually notorious as a child for being a distraction for my parents. I would constantly escape my car seat and booster seats and scare the crap out of them. Especially when they were driving through Portland and I'd pop up between the two front seats yelling, "Hi, Mom!" I almost caused them to have a few accidents, but I definitely cost them a few $100s to a few $1,000s in traffic tickets and driving schools that they were forced by court to go to. Electronic devices aren't just the cell phones, but those are the most notorious. which leads into music playing on cars. I mentioned earlier about how people turn it down because it's too much of a distraction for them to fully focus on what they're looking for. Other forms of distractions are the people outside the car, panhandlers, drug addicts. When a pedestrian is just walking in your way, you just get angry at them. When you run across panhandlers and drug addicts, you're now, instead of concerned for driving safely, you're just concerned for your safety. Stereotypically, soccer moms will tell everyone, lock the doors, roll up your windows. I say stereotypically because I actually do that too. I tell people to make sure your doors are locked. I roll up the windows to make sure no one can reach in the car. Especially when the panhandler is in the middle of the highway on-ramp. Advertisements and billboards, they're very distracting to your sight. Your attention is pulled away from the road so you can read what that sign says. Yeah, some of them are cool, some of them are funny. There's a vet clinic on King Road in Portland that will constantly have signs posted for funny little pet jokes. How many cans of soda does it take to make a bird? 2 cans. But again, it's pulling your attention away from the road, especially in such a busy area where there are always several people walking around. Other drivers can be a distraction too. Wondering what they're doing in their car. Your attention should be on what you're doing in your car. Driving. There are several videos online of people getting distracted by fancy dancy cars and causing wrecks. I'm sure quite a few people in the world have actually personally experienced a near miss due to that Lamborghini that they were eyeballing, or some souped up Honda. Then there's the notorious distraction of your own car. The squealing brakes, the grinding gears, the foul odor, any shimming and shaking. Anything that pulls your attention from the road is a distraction. And all these can easily just be due to a fear of missing out. Your phone can wait. That text message can wait. If it can't wait, you are legally required to pull off the road and put the vehicle in park so you can answer your phone, so you can respond to a text. There's nothing more important than making sure you and your passengers make it home safely. Because if we can't stop ourselves from being distracted, what's the government going to have to do other than install blow-and-go devices in every car? But instead of, because of driving while intoxicated, it'll be a charging plug or a lockbox in the back end of a car. They can easily put in a sensor that'll detect any phone signal, an electronic device that's looking for internet, and that lockbox or that plug-in can disable the ignition very easily, much like a blow and go, until it registers it to the car, it's in a safe location, or the lockbox is lined to prevent the signal from getting out and it won't detect it anymore. Oregon has the ORS 811.507. California has the vehicle code 23123. And then another example is Louisiana State hands-free law. They're all pretty much the same. Hands-free. Legally, in Oregon, all you're allowed is one swipe or tap when your phone is mounted properly. The vent clips, the dashboard mount, the windshield mounts, those are all legally okay, so that you can answer that call, decline that call, check your next turn or next street that you need on GPS. But that's it, just one swipe or tap. In all three of those legal cases I just listed, no one is allowed to be holding their phone. And on top of that, because of how bad the distraction has gotten, it is now illegal for anyone under 18 to have Bluetooth usage while operating a vehicle. The only exception would be farm equipment and during an emergency case. People driving under a permit or a special driving privilege of some variety aren't even allowed to use the Bluetooth on the car. Their phone needs to be off and put away, basically, because if it's on, it's going to connect to the car. And if it's connected to the car, any button or switch with the radio you mess with is using Bluetooth, and that's a traffic violation. And this is enacted to help prevent people from continuing the problem of growing up being distracted by your phone. They're wanting the next generation to be more focused on learning how to drive safely. So, electronic devices, distraction devices, whatever they actually are, iPhone, Android, a toy, a laptop, an iPad, an electronic pen, they are required to be in a pocket, in the glove box, in the armrest, in the back seat, in the trunk. In short, out of reach of the driver's hands. The only exception, as I mentioned, are the phone mounts, so that you can do the one swipe or tap. Yet we still have people driving around with their phones up against their heads, and there are still several accidents happening in this world because of it. A few stories I have, some of them are funny, some of them are not funny. Really depends on how you look at things. But I took a group trip. We took a few different vehicles over to Wyoming, I believe, for the 4th of July. And on our way back to Oregon, I was trying to play catch up to the other vehicle. Yes, I do admit I was going faster than the speed limit. But that was in the case of I'm keeping with the flow of traffic. I wasn't racing down the highway, passing everyone up, because otherwise I'd be the one who got pulled over instead of the other vehicle. And when we went to the next rest stop, I pulled out and About 20 minutes later, they came up right behind us, and I asked them what happened. They were pulled over initially for going 90 miles an hour in a 65. But it was the passenger who got the ticket because the medicine he was prescribed was actually illegal in that area, so he had all of it confiscated and he was given a ticket. So it's not just people getting hurt that speeding can affect people. It's obviously now that you can also ruin your passenger's day. One of the traffic violations I got years ago, I was driving through Sherwood and coming up to the YMCA intersection. I could see through the cars ahead of me that traffic was coming across from my right to the lanes going against my flow of traffic. And I knew that me taking a right-hand turn there was perfectly safe. I just had to take an extra look for pedestrians. Well, I thought this was the right train of thought because the truck in front of me had the same idea. It was a 45 and we slowed down to about 15 miles an hour. He took his turn, and as he's taking his turn, I'm taking a peek around for pedestrians and seeing it's clear. I continue going at about 15 miles an hour. As I start to correct my vision to look and see what is now going to be up ahead of me, my eyes catch the flash of the camera there at the corner. And I had to go to court, where I learned that no matter what, at a red light, red means stop. I got this nasty habit from learning to drive in California. There's another one where I wasn't paying attention to my speed. I was in conversation with my partner, and we were having a grand old time just cruising down Highway 30. Oh, I didn't notice my heavy boot resting on the gas pedal, and we were going 75 in a 55. I got pulled over immediately, and that's when I learned that cop cruisers also have speed detecting devices for oncoming cars, and that's how he flagged me. I don't remember the actual speed. I think it was closer to 72 or 73, but he said the exact number I was actually going, and I couldn't figure out how he was able to detect it until I was told about it, and I'm like, oh crap. Well, there's no getting away with it when going against traffic with cops. I told him exactly what happened. I wasn't paying attention to my speed. I was enjoying the scenery, the fact that no pedestrians were around me, and having a lovely conversation with my partner. And he, in short, not his words, these are my words, told me to stop looking like the rest of the idiots out there who are doing 75 just to speed down the road, because it's very notorious for that area. I lucked out and he let me go about my day, and I was teased and made fun of a little bit by my partner, and honestly it was rightly so, because I was in the wrong. I violated the speed. After that trip, there used to be a fun little AI song on YouTube, but it recently got taken down. I can't find it anymore. The title was "Do Not Let AI Make Children's Song," and playing it, it was a song about a road raging mom driving down the road with her little girl in the back seat. And this song would have been perfect for this playlist, but like I said, it got taken down. Some of the song lyrics were about how mommy's on her phone again, mom not driving safely down the road, seeking confrontation, yelling, cursing, and threatening other people. I've had to actually experience this a few times with my own acquaintances, where I had to tell them, you gotta stop saying that shit. And when asked why, I said, look behind you. You have a freaking kid in the back seat. The phrase monkey see, monkey do is very true, especially when it comes to children. A lot of teachers, a lot of counselors have told me that children idolize the adults around them. And with the fact that children pick up our bad habits quite often, it's very easy to see that all they're learning and idolizing in that scenario is all the bad habits you're showing them. There are many inconveniences when you're driving around. Just stop, breathe, grit your teeth, let it pass, and move on with your day, instead of teaching your kids new ways to say hi to strangers. I hope someone learned something from this video at the very minimum, but I hope even more so it helped prevent accidents, because this video was shown to somebody out there and they chose to pay attention to the road instead of their phone, or even simply they just decided to go the speed limit. If you all can help to make this possible by just spreading this playlist or even just this one video around, I would greatly appreciate it. My name's Matthew, and I would like to just thank you for your time.